Our reading today comes from Genesis chapter 15. After this, the word of the Lord came to Abram in a vision. "Do not be afraid, Abram. I am your shield, your very great reward." But Abram said, "Sovereign Lord, what can you give me since I remain childless, and the one who will inherit my estate is Eliezer of Damascus? You have given me no children, so a servant to my household will be my heir." Then the word of the Lord came to him, "This man will not be your heir, but a son who is your own flesh and blood will be your heir." He took him outside and said, "Look up at the sky and count the stars, if indeed you can count them." Then he said to him, "So shall your offspring be." Abram believed in the Lord. One image of God that I've always found comforting is the God of history. We often identify with God in terms of the present. He is the God of the universe, of our lives. He is with us today. He is with us in our weakness. He is the God who saves us, the present tense. But for me, there is something remarkable and extraordinary about worshipping the God of history, who can collapse all of time into his hands and sees the beginning from the end and guides all things, despite all the evils and wills that conspire against him, to full reunion and reconciliation with him. At this time when the world feels so dark and history feels unhinged, let's affirm that Jesus Christ is the ultimate master of history. This passage today is when Abraham has this similar epiphany. He's afraid, he doubts God's goodness and power. He doesn't believe that the promises made to him earlier will come to pass. He looks to his right and to his left and to the decade behind him and in front of him and only sees failure and disappointment. But God lifts his head upwards. He encourages him to gaze at the infinite depths of the universe and the countless stars and shows him a vision of a future in which he will play a role in. God raises his head and gives him an eternal perspective. Look up and count the stars, if indeed you can count them. This eternal perspective is the remedy to despair and fear. The first thing God says in our reading is, "Do not fear." So, St. Peter's, let us not fear. Yes, let's pray with sincerity and faith. Let us lament with sorrow and mourning. Let's cry out to God in the quiet and tumultuous parts of our hearts, but let us not fear, because we know that Jesus Christ is the God of history. Amen.